I want to show you the math that changed how I garden. So most people grow enough of a crop to have fresh eating during the growing season and maybe a little bit to last beyond that, but within about 6 months, they've went through it or it's not lasted. So these are onions that we grew last year that have been hanging in our pantry, and I have not bought onions from the store or potatoes in, oh goodness, the past 5 years. Now, a lot of times people think, oh man, in order to grow a full year's worth of food to feed my entire family off of that crop, I'm gonna need a huge amount of space, not only to store it, but also to grow it. And that's actually not true. So when it comes to onions, if you think about how much a family of 4 needs, it's usually about 40 to 60 pounds of onions for a year, which equals out to be about 200 to 250 onion plants. Now that sounds like a whole lot, but it's actually not. We are able to grow that amount of onions in just one stretch here of our garden in just 2 rows. And they last for the entire year. So let's walk through the math on how you can calculate out how much you would need for your family. So the simplest way to do this to make sure it actually meets the needs of what you're consuming of that crop is to look on how much, in our example, we are using onions and potatoes, how many onions and potatoes you're using for your family size in an average week, and then simply multiply that out by 52. Then you've got the number of what you would use for a year, and then you're going to see which each type of those plants yields on average to then know how many of those plants you'll need to plant to hit your goals. So for us, as I shared, for a family of 4, generally when it comes to potatoes, it's about 100 to 150 pounds of potatoes for a year for a family of 4, which equals about 20 to 40 pounds of seed potatoes, because obviously with one potato that multiplies into many potatoes. And it depends a little bit on growing conditions, of course, and variety of potato to know. So if you have a lower yield or slightly lower soil that's not quite as healthy, you're gonna go with the 40 pounds. But if you've got ideal soil conditions, high variety of producing potato, then you could go with the 20 pounds and get a really high yield. Now, I will share with you in my next video that I have coming up where we did a test on potatoes in the ground for 5 years without ever replanting them. And it's been pretty amazing on the results. So keep your eye out for that video. Now, variety matters way more than most people realize when it comes to making sure that you actually have storage varieties and high producers. So when it comes to onions, you need to know if you're getting long day or short day or intermediate varieties, and that depends on your geographical location. So when you look at the US, of course, we're going to look up north. We have to grow long day onions because in the summertime, our daylight hours are super, super long. The further north you go in summer, the longer the days. You can get away with those intermediate days, of course, if you're in about the middle of the country. And then further south, you're gonna go with the short one. Now, these are really easy to look up the name of the varieties and input them. But you wanna make sure that you're getting storage varieties of onions if you want them to store, like I showed you, for almost up to a year. So you want to make sure that they're storage varieties. A few of those, an easy way to differentiate between the two is sweet varieties of onions will not have long storage power. So Walla Wallas are delicious. They're from Washington State where I live, but they're not going to store really beyond about 4 to 5 weeks at best. Great in season and right after season. You don't want to grow the majority of them, however, for your storage onion. Some of my favorites, again, these are long day storage varieties. These are Patterson onions. They last the longest. That was the braid that I just showed you. Those I will have last clear up until June and July from onions that were harvested in August and September. Next, one of my favorites is a blush onion. They are beautiful, great flavor, and those store about 6 to 9 months. Not quite as long of storage as these Pattersons. And a red onion, now typically most of your red onions are not going to have as long of storage as a Patterson, which is in my experience been the variety that stores the absolute longest. But Red Wing is a red onion that is a long day variety and does have pretty good storage, usually about 4 to 6 months. So you can time those out and then just make sure in your usage or in your pantry storage that you're using those varieties with the shorter time at the beginning of the year and then saving the Patterson for the very end. So again, storage variety really matters and making sure that you get the right type for your location. Now, when it comes to spacing, onions are going to be about 4 to 6 inches apart and the rows should be about 12 inches apart, which means you can get them relatively close together. So you don't need a huge amount of space in order to grow a really good sized crop and enough to feed a family of 4. Now, should you use onion sets, which I have here in hand, or should you start your onions from seed? I have done both, and I've got a video if you want to learn how to start them from seed yourself. You can go and check that out. If you're going to start them from seed, you need to make sure that you are doing that about 16 weeks before your last average frost date. So for most parts of the country, you've already missed that boat. The great thing about starting them from seed is, of course, you have complete control over the variety. So there's a lot of heirloom and different variety types that you can grow by seed. You might not be able to find sets for. However, onion sets, so these have been grown by seed from a company that sells onion sets, and then they grow to obviously this size, right? So you can see relatively small. They look like little baby onions at this point, almost like shallots, but these are actually onions. And they put them into a dormancy in order to ship them. You get them at this size and then you plant them in the ground, and of course they're going to grow and produce for you. Now, one of the caveats when you're using sets like this is sometimes, because they have been put into dormancy in order to ship them, onions are a biennial, meaning in their second year of growth, they produce their seed heads, and that's how we get onion seed in order to continue growing them. The negative with growing them in sets is sometimes they actually think they're entering into their second year of growth. So onions grown from sets sometimes have a tendency to bolt or to produce a seed head that first year. The reason we don't really want that to happen is because when it starts to produce the seed head, then it stops focusing on the growth of the bulb of the onion, meaning your onion is going to be smaller. But the real reason we don't want it to do that is because as it produces that seed head, it's coming from the center of the onion and it's growing like this bigger stalk. They don't last. They will break down and rot really, really fast in storage if they have produced a seed head. And the reason that we're growing these bad boys is so we can store them. So you'll just want to keep an eye on them. This year, I obviously went with sets. We were not home and it just didn't work out for us this year in order to grow our onions from seed. So the good news is you can get sets, onion sets, and be able to plant them even if you missed that very specific time window of starting them from seed. So both ways are options. Both are great because you are still growing your own onions for your family. When it comes to variety of potatoes, just as important for making sure that you get good yield and that they're going to store well. So with potato family, you have got indeterminate and determinate varieties. What does that mean? Determinate means that they are going to grow to a determined size and they are going to produce all of their little tubers underneath the ground, which is what becomes our potatoes when they mature, at one point in time. Indeterminate means that they will continue to grow and you usually get a larger yield than determinate varieties. And so they grow to an indeterminate height and you can hill those up. Indeterminate varieties are the ones that you keep putting soil around the foliage and the stem as it's growing, and it will produce more potatoes if it has contact with the soil. So that can be really good. And then of course, as soon as you hit your killing frost, then the indeterminates, that will be the end of their growing season. So important to know what kind you have, because indeterminate varieties typically will produce a little bit more than determinate, provided you've got that long enough growing season. And those are the kind that you want to hill up, or you may have seen people will grow them in like grow bags or even garbage cans where they continue to add soil. That works with indeterminate varieties. Now, which varieties are best for storage? I'm so happy you asked that question. My favorite is the German Butterball. I love German Butterball for their flavor and they store really, really well. Other common ones, of course, is going to be Russet as well as Yukon. So there's quite a few different storage varieties. The red potatoes and fingerlings don't have as long of storage variety, even though they are delicious and we do still grow some of them. I just don't grow as much of them for our storage crop. Now, again, we'll have in the blog post that accompanies this episode, you can click beneath in the video description, a much more thorough list of all of the different types of storage varieties of both potatoes and onions. Now, when it comes to your potatoes that you're planting, not only do we want to make sure that we're using appropriate varieties, we want to make sure that we are using seed potatoes. Why do we need seed potatoes? Why can't you just use potatoes from the grocery store? Because we all know you buy potatoes from the grocery store and them bad boys usually end up sprouting on you if you don't use them fast enough, right? Here's the reason. Seed potatoes are certified to be free from disease. This is a really important factor, especially when you're trying to grow a year's worth of potatoes. Potatoes that you get from the store are not certified disease-free because a lot of the diseases that potatoes can get, hello blight, famine. Most people are familiar with blight. That's what caused the potato famine in Ireland was blight. So blight, you can eat potatoes that get blight if the plant survives long enough to produce the potatoes. So it's not like a pathogen and disease that's going to infect humans. However, if you have a potato from the store that did have blight and then you use it as a seed potato and plant it, high likelihood that that potato is going to get blight, and blight stays in your soil for a number of years, meaning nothing in the nightshade family, tomatoes, eggplants, peppers, and potatoes should be grown in that soil, and you have a higher chance of them getting infected in other parts of your garden because you have that introduction of blight. So we want to use certified seed potatoes when we are planting our potatoes, and provided then that you don't have any disease, you can then save your best potatoes and replant them and have your own seed supply of potatoes. But we do want to start with certified seed potatoes so that we're not introducing disease into our soil or even that year's crop. Now, how do we know that our potatoes are ready to go into the ground? Well, a little bit has with time of year. The good news is you can put potatoes in the ground a couple of weeks before your last average frost date in the spring. But you want to make sure that your potatoes are chitting. What does that mean? That sounds kind of like a bad thing. It's CH, by the way, chitting. And that just means that they are developing their eyes right before you start to see the big sprouts. So you want to make sure that you've seen these little bits of eyes starting to form and grow on your potato. And then if it's a larger potato, you can cut that in half, and then you would have 2 potato plants growing off of one. If they are smaller, I usually do not cut them in half because you do want to make sure that there's at least enough weight and food in order to feed these little bad boys until they have broken through the surface of the soil, have produced leaves so they can do photosynthesis and have roots to feed themselves. And so if you cut them in too small of chunks, they sometimes don't have enough food to finish the process. So that's why little ones, I just leave them whole. Bigger ones like this, I would definitely cut that in half. And if you have any really, really big ones, sometimes you can cut them into thirds. Planting wise, you want to make sure that you're about 4 to 6 inches deep. If they are a indeterminate variety, sometimes I'll even go a little bit deeper so that as they're growing, I can just fill that trench in instead of having to do quite as much hilling. But on average, 4 to 6 inches deep and about 10 to 12 inches apart with each plant. And then you want your rows to be about 2 feet apart. And the reason for that is, of course, we want to make sure that we have enough space underground for all of these potatoes to form and they don't start crowding each other and stealing nutrients from them so that we get the biggest yield and harvest possible off of each plant. How do you know when your onions are ready to harvest? We don't want to harvest them too soon because then you're not going to have a fully formed bulb and they're just going to be little and tiny. And we want to get the biggest amount as possible. The key to knowing when your onions are ready to harvest is when they start to fall over. So you'll have this big green stalk, and when at least half, if not ideally closer to 80% of the onions are falling over, that's when you know that they are ready to pull and harvest. Now, the second part with our onions is not just knowing when to harvest them, but also how to cure them properly. Properly cured onions will store for at least 6, if not up to 12 months in a dark, cool, and dry pantry area. And I have a video walking you through all of the steps on how to actually cure them that you can watch after this. Now, what about when it comes to our potatoes? When are our potatoes ready to harvest? Potatoes are ready to harvest about 2 weeks after the top of the plant has died back. So we want to try to give them as long as possible in the ground to fully form. If you're unsure, you can always gently pull back some of the soil and simply look at the size of the potato. If you want new potatoes or baby potatoes, you can always gently pull back the soil, not uprooting the entire plant, and harvest a few of them earlier in the season. And then make sure that you're careful to not disrupt the roots. Cover that back up and let the rest produce. But general rule of thumb is when the top of the plant always dies back fully, about 2 weeks after that, you can start harvesting them. Now, what about proper storage and curing of your potatoes? There's a couple of ways to go about this. Potatoes need a lot more humidity so that they do not shrivel up in comparison to onions, which really don't require hardly any humidity. They do fine pretty much at just what you would have hanging in your house or in your kitchen or a back pantry or cupboard, which is great. Potatoes are a little more finicky. We do want to cure them. So you want to pull them up out of the ground. And then what we're doing in the curing process is simply drying out that outer skin when it comes to the potato and letting that harden up. If you put them in when you first pull them out of the ground, they're really soft, they have moisture on them, and we all know what happens when you have moisture. You can get mold and decay, and they're going to start to break down. Then you need to put them in an area where it says relatively cool and in the dark. We don't want our potatoes turning green on us. As we all know, when you have a lot of green on potatoes, that actually is a solanine, and it can make you sick in large quantities. So we want to keep them in the dark. And we also want to make sure that they don't start to sprout too soon. That has to do with temperature control or shriveling up. That's our humidity control. So a lot of times you'll have people who will store their potatoes in a damp, cool, dark area. We don't have a basement. I don't have a shop. I don't have an area that has high enough humidity. We've tested all different spots in darkness in order to store our potatoes for about more than 3 months. And then they all just start to shrivel up and go bad on me. So that is where, if you live in a more maritime climate or you're not getting a super hard frost where the ground stays frozen 4 inches down for most of the year or covered in a whole bunch of snow all year long, I leave my potatoes in the ground. Your ground is a perfect root cellar. As long as it's well draining, you can leave potatoes in the ground provided there's enough mulch that they're not freezing, because then when it thaws, they're going to turn mushy and be no good. It can work really, really well. So again, this is a little bit on your location, what your weather is like, etc. It works fabulous for us. I've been doing it for the past 5 years, and I can't wait to share with you more about my 5-year growing potato experiment. For more information on how much to plant per person on all your different vegetable and fruit crops, go and visit the blog post linked beneath this in the video description.